Timekeeper at the bell is Stephen Pucci, and our 3 scoring judges, Neville Holtz of South Africa, Marcus McDonald of the United Kingdom, and Patrick Morley of the USA. When that bell rings and the action begins, the man in the middle, the man in charge, is Mr. Steve Gray of Fleetwood, England. And now, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, here we go. Introducing to you firstly, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed with gold, weighing in 11 stone, 5 pounds, 5 ounces with a 32 fight record. 28 wins, 8 inside the scheduled distance, just 3 defeats and 1 draw. Ladies and gentlemen, he comes to the ring as the outright holder of the Lord Lonsdale's Challenge belt. Would you please welcome from Blackpool, England, the Lion, Brian Rose. And across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the green trunks trimmed with white, weighed in at 11 stone, 5 pounds, 7 ounces. With a 40 fight record, 34 wins, 22 inside the scheduled distance, and just 6 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, on the way to his ring career, he's the former British and European champion, but more importantly, a 3-time world title challenger from the Emerald Isles, and now boxing out of Birmingham. Would you please welcome Macklin, Macklin! So time to go. Here we are then. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Middleweight Championship.
Okay, boys, if I call a break, you take 1 step back. Don't let any of your punches go around the back of the head. Most importantly, protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up. Good luck, lads.
This one has really split the trade. So many interesting boxing spectators around the ring here at the O2. It's an intriguing 50-50 pairing, which may become the fight of the night. 72 fights between Matthew Macklin and Brian Rose. 62 victories, quality boxers who have long been associated with big, major nights, but who has the edge in desire, in ambition, in extra steel at this stage in their careers. And will one just suddenly come apart late on in their boxing lives? But I tell you what, this is a fascinating one, Paul.
It is, and 3 years ago it wouldn't have been a fascinating fight, and that's where the both fighters are currently at in the careers. It's a very interesting fight. It's a fight of 2 fighters who really want to get back in the world title contention and get back in the mix at the world level.
Most feel that Brian Rose will elect to get behind his long jab and frustrate Macklin, who loves to get involved and get inside and is often in real tear-ups. Seems so long ago now that he gave us that epic with Jamie Moore. Probably the best domestic title fight of, what, the last 10-15 years, maybe bar Arthur Gomez, but one of the top 2.
It was. I was lucky enough to be there. It was an absolutely brilliant fight and showed the level that of the fights Jamie Moore and Matthew Macklin were obviously going to go on to have.
Right, step back.
Jamie Moore has trained Matthew Macklin at times. Who hasn't? He seems to have had a lot of people in his corner. A right hand from Brian Rose. Classy shot in the opening round. He could be a bit fresher, Rose. Macklin has had a long, tough and hard career, and he was thinking very carefully about his future after he lost in 10 rounds to Jorge Sebastian Hyland in November 2014. Bit of damage to the left eye of Macklin as well.
A little bit of redness around the eye, a little bit to the nose as well.
And are you worried, Paul, about Brian Rose's nose, which sometimes has a problem, but it is Macklin who is bleeding first in what could be a grueling affair if it gets down the stretch.
We haven't seen much of the Rose jab, which I thought he'd come out and try and dictate with. I thought to try and use the jab a hell of a lot more. Try and keep Macklin at bay.
Macklin getting the centre of the ring. Trying to get inside and rip away to the body. Both have been stopped in recent times. There may be a little more fragility at this stage of their careers. Macklin, good behind the jab. Probably got the extra quality, hasn't he? Certainly through his career. He came closer to winning a world title than Rose.
He did.
Well, there's a familiar face. Ricky, the Hitman Hatton at ringside. Of course, he's a good old buddy of Matthew Macklin's and yours, Paul. You all shared a gym together, didn't you, under Billy Graham?
We did. Great times, and it's strange seeing Bobby Limmer and Kerry Kayes in the opposite corner to Macklin tonight, having been there together so long. Yep. Business is business, isn't it?
It is. These two get on very well. They really do. But and they probably wouldn't have chosen it, but they have to. It's important to both of their futures here. Very important. The green of the Irish Brummy Matthew Macklin.
Head's coming a bit close there. Macklin trying to get in close. Rose not budging back, and the head's coming a bit close.
The black and gold of Brian the Lion Rose, who was actually also born in Birmingham, but of course from Blackpool. Had some good nights up there with him, with Brian, as he was coming through, winning British titles. Macklin tries to turn up the turbo in there and apply the pressure to Rose. He may feel he's physically stronger.
There's not been much coming back from Rose, even in the previous round. There's not much from his jab. He's trying to land a few little counters here and there, but he's not trying to establish his own jab, which is his best punch.
Right hand, though, when he does throw the countering sharp shots. He is accurate, Rose. Macklin doing more, but being warned here by Steve Gray.
A little talent off of the head. Bit of rough stuff from Macklin.
Tries the uppercut on the inside. He got some power, Macklin. 22 stoppages in his 34 wins, and some early. But a good right hand again from Rose. It's those shots, isn't it, that just seem a little smarter from the Blackpool man.
It's all that he's landing. He's not leading off. Macklin seems to be leading off more, so he's just landing the counters and the counters only. This is the range now where you'd like to see more of Rose's jab.
I think he's just probably being a bit careful early on against the Macklin power, the aggressor. The value for money come forward man, who's also can box. Macklin, he showed that at times. He was a good amateur, but a little less in recent years, Paul.
He's trying his best to get inside now, Macklin, and Rose has landed a few sneaky shots as he's coming in. Little uppercuts like that one was just landed then. Macklin was complaining about the holding from Rose early on in the round, and when the stuff got rough then.
Trying to use his strength there, Macklin. But Rose has trained long and hard for this one. He knows how important this is. It's so important to both of them. Macklin says he will retire if he is defeated tonight. There's the jab that you've been talking about, finally coming into play.
For me, Rose has to use that. He has to use the jab. He has to get it going, and it's his best punch. It's his range finder. He's 6 foot. He's a tall, light middleweight, and it's his best punch.
But often he can grow into fights, Brian Rose. Used to going the longer distances because he's not a big puncher. 8 knockouts only on his long record.
Okay.
Welcome back. Two warriors here at middleweight, putting it all on the line. You can see the experience between the pair. Brian Rose has gone the 12 rounds on more occasions, but his nose was just flaring up again, and we were talking about that before we came on air, weren't we, about the problem that Brian has there.
We were, and it's something that will not go away until he retires and maybe get it fixed. There's such a ridge on his nose now from previous fights, which has been broken and damaged, and it's always going to cause him problems in fights.
Even though he's been a bit of a part-time model and likes to look after himself.
I think them days out there, it's just a nasty mark under Macklin's right eye just come up.
Yep, he's been a little cut by the left eye in the first round. There was certainly some blood around there and swelling up, but I don't think that's all we're going to see tonight. The lumps and bumps of these two battlers.
You can hear Bobby Rimmer screaming to Matthew Macklin, to Brian Rose about not waiting and not waiting. Macklin's other eyes start to swell up now as well.
Is that a sign of aging fighters? When the damage is more apparent early on in a fight?
It could be, and Macklin defends with his gloves as well sometimes, so you're still taking the brunt of the shot on your own glove onto your face as well.
Body shot from Macklin, yep, nice. Tried to follow it with an uppercut. Couldn't quite get the timing there. You can see how intense he is, his concentration, Macklin. But the eyes just looking worse. And on the flip side, is Rose doing quite enough yet?
He hasn't really got going, Rose, with his jab as much as he should and as much as he usually does when he fights. He's known for boxing at a good pace and good jabbing, but he's boxing smart. He's waiting and trying to make Macklin make the mistakes, but a lot of reddening around his Rose's left side from Macklin's right hooks to the body.
He was looking good, Rose, wasn't he, when he beat Vivian Harris and Sam Webb and Joachim Alcine, but he came apart against Demetrius Andrade, the wicked former WBO light middleweight champion. We were there in New York and he never got into it, Brian. It was a painful night, but it was just levels. He had his moment, he had a go, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, quality fighter, Demetrius Andrade.
Whereas Macklin, many felt, beat Felix Sturm and should have become a world champion. Didn't get the decision. Did ever so well against Sergio Martinez, but then was taken apart by a vicious body shot at the hands of Gennady Golovkin. No disgrace there, of course.
Not at all. It's a better round from Rose. He's got his jab going a bit more and he's up the work rate, which is no coincidence.
Bobby Rimmer bellowing out instructions from that red corner. He wasn't happy at the end of the second round. It's been a bit better from Rose.
He actually asked Rose, was he okay after the second round? You know, are you okay straight away?
Welcome back to the O2 Arena down in the Docklands. And it is just under 3 minutes until encryption. So join us for the remainder of what is going to be a fantastic night's boxing. This is pretty good, isn't it, already? Matthew Macklin and Brian Rose. We've got 2 world title fights following. Jamie McDonnell, Lee Selby involved. Conor Benn's debut. George Groves back. And, of course, the big one. Charles Martin, Anthony Joshua for the world heavyweight title. This down on the card, it could top bills, couldn't it, on any other show?
If you had this on a smaller show somewhere in the country, it'd be a great show, it'd be a great bill-topper. Macklin just wants to be a little bit careful with the head. He's going in, and not sure if it's too intentional or not, but he's trying to get in. When he's in close, he's tucking his head low. Probably wants to stay out of the way of damage, but he's had 2 warnings now, and two telling-offs off Steve Gray.
Body shots from Macklin, that's where he wants Rose. Yep, targeting that area. Been pretty cute with his defense over the years, Brian Rose. He was taken aback by Carson Jones, but got his revenge over Jones in Hull last summer on the Campbell Coyle night and boxed really well. So we've seen him blow hot and cold. He needs a hot night here, Brian Rose, to further his career. Who is winning this at the moment, do you feel?
I've got a 2-1 for Macklin at the minute. Just the busier, the better fighter. Rose won the last round for me and came out and established his jab, and it was no coincidence that he started to improve and started to up the tempo a little bit when his jab got going. He just hasn't been using his best asset. Macklin's best asset is his roughness, his toughness inside, his quality body punching. He's been trying his best to get inside and let them body shots go, but Rose hasn't been using his best weapon so far. The last round he did, and he's edging back in.
Matthew Macklin's been around such a long time, welterweight, light middleweight, he's gone up through, and this might be a bit more powerful, strong these days than Brian Rose, especially with that lack of Rose power. Seems like an age that he turned on that Glaswegian show against Ram Singh back in November 2001. Won his first 9 or 10, I think. He lost to Andrew Facey, didn't he, for an English title, but one early defeat didn't do him any harm, didn't do you much harm, did it either?
No, it happens. You sometimes learn the hard way in boxing. Well, you know what, I think a lot of the time you learn the hard way in boxing, and them losses early on, it goes to show a young up-and-coming come and fight it. It's not the end of the world.
And Brian Rose has taken those hard nights, those tough derailments, and come back. All credit to him trying to get that jab going. Just needs to fend Macklin off and hope that the tough man just starts to fade as the rounds tick by. It was a strange one, wasn't it, going down to light middleweight, tackling Jason Welburn. He didn't look good that night, Macklin.
No, he didn't. Especially against, with all respect to Welburn, someone of Welborn's level, who Macklin should be taken care of, and taken care of very well.
Yeah? What's your straight? Yeah?
There's brother Seamus leading Matthew's corner. I think when we first met him, he was about 4.
He was. He still looks about 4 now, but you know what? That was very educated advice what he's just given his elder brother in the corner there. You know, stop trying so hard with the hooks and start establishing your jab a bit better. Relax a bit more.
You know, he's grown up around you, so he must know a fair amount by now, Seamus.
So he's picked up a hell of a lot of experience over the years. All the big fights that you name over the years that we've all been at, he's been there as well. I said about my brother Callum, he's the youngest, he's come through, but he's been there every single time there's been a big fight when he was a kid.
Quite a stable, wasn't it, Billy Graham's back in those days with Matthew and Paul and Ricky Hatton, the likes of Michael Gomez. Fun times. But he's got work to do here, Macklin, not having everything his own way. Scrappy at times here in this must-win fight for the pair of them. It's two really amiable guys. They get on well outside the ring. They didn't want this fight, but they've got it. Who's going to get the better of the other? Fascinating. There's the marks under Macklin's eyes, very visible, especially under the left, and that uppercut from Rose won't help matters. Heavier leather coming back from Macklin, though.
It isn't. The sneaky, clever stuff from Rose, there's the odd few shots that come in, but you can see Macklin trying to be the aggressor every round, trying to come forward and trying to land the big shots, and he's trying to go high, then low, then back up top. Typical Matthew Macklin style, mixing up to the body and head. But Rose is judging the distance well. Starting to get his own jab going now.
That's what he needs to do. Brian Rose, who began boxing at 9. He was taken to the gym in Blackpool by his dad, Eddie. Boxed for England as a schoolboy. Always high hopes. And he hasn't disappointed. Done well as a pro. How much more in the arsenal? Is there another big title challenge in there for Brian Rose? Just cuffing shots, some missing, messy at times. The timing, to be honest, Paul, is not what they have had earlier on in their careers, these two.
It's been a little bit scrappy, and they're not quite gelling together so well. A lot of holding inside when they get in there, and see Macklin getting a little bit frustrated at that. There's that up and down again from Matthew Macklin. Good left hook to the body at the end of that exchange.
Trying the uppercut on the inside, just not that clean. And you wonder if one of them will get frustrated. Just want to change things. Good body shot to Macklin, nice right hand, good cluster, eye-catching punches for the judges as well. More of those than landing from Rose.
Straights, yeah?
Well, after just 5 rounds, we're gauging opinion at ringside, and people have got it totally split. Some have got Rose a little ahead, some have Macklin ahead. It's close.
It is close, and I think there's only probably 1 round in it. It's just, it's Rose isn't doing as much as Macklin. Macklin's the busier man, the more aggressive man, but what Rose is doing is pretty effective with his jab and sneaky uppercuts as Macklin's coming in and just judging the distance a little bit better than Macklin. Macklin's got to close that distance. Rose is keeping that distance.
All to fight for in this middleweight match. The 41st professional outing for Matthew Macklin, the 33rd for Brian Rose. 2 years between them. Huge amounts of experience. Macklin on the higher level, the higher plane. Will that just prove to be the decisive factor here? Or will Brian Rose's control over 12 rounds? And Macklin not looking as good as he has done in the past. Just catch up with him. He's been in hard fights, hasn't he, Macklin?
Oh, he has. He's had so many of them as well, and he's always been a clever fighter. You can see the way he's trying to just shift his shape and his weight here and there in his fighting, jerky, trying to move left and right and trying to just good old-fashioned pro, you know, but he's got to work with that. He's got to still land the shots. You can't just stand off and look good. You have to get in there and land the shots. It's been a slower start to the round from this round from Macklin. But Rose again is just busy with his jab. There hasn't been many right hands coming from Rose in this fight.
Single punches from Rose with the jab, just trying to go downstairs a little too low from Macklin. The old tricks, trying to rough up his opponent in there. But still comes firing in with a combination, and Rose back with an uppercut. Sure, he's just landing the volume here, Brian Rose.
It was a quiet start to the round, this round for Matthew Macklin.
Steve Gray now giving him just a little telling off. Matthew Macklin won't worry him at all. We know exactly how he fights. He'll give everything in there, Matthew Macklin. And it may be enough to deal with Brian Rose here. Whether it's enough to earn himself another
good
big title shot, who knows? Clapping in the corner, though, from Macklin, who's just trying to get closer, negate the space, not allow Rose to move so sweetly on his feet. Do you think the judges will be favouring Macklin more here?
It's what you like. So you like the aggressor who's trying to come forward. There's a big cut on Rose's nose, suddenly just come up there.
There's some eye damage as well.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, with the judges, Adam, it's what you like. Do you like Macklin's aggressiveness, trying to get inside like this and trying to work? Also, for the first half of that round, Macklin was quiet, but the last half of the round, last minute and a half, he's thrown a few more shots. Or the sneaky good right hands only coming through from Brian Rose like that.
Yep, quality from Rose with that one right hand, but the right eye is bad for the Blackpool man.
Right, well, listen, you're going to have to start working. Breathe now, breathe. Keep there, keep there, keep there. Keep there, keep there.
Bobby Rimmer, Kerry Kays, once part of the Matthew Macklin team, now patching up Brian Rose and sending him out for more battle. It's the second half of this middleweight match, this crucial crossroads affair. You've got it dead level, I've got it dead level by a totally different way. And gauging opinion around us at ringside, it's one up either side. It's very, very tight.
It is, as I said, it's what you like. Do you like the aggressiveness from Macklin? Do you like the tidy boxing from Rose, trying to land good singles and eye-catching shots? Macklin's certainly been the busier out of the both fighters, but Rose is keeping it tight and using that jab to good effect.
Scoring always subjective and under scrutiny. Last week in Liverpool, we had a couple of draws. I think maybe Sean Dodd felt badly done by, and possibly Christopher Brasset as well. Very tough. 3 judges at ringside is all that matters. Rocky Fielding and Scotty Cardle. Well, they had their good times and bad times in there in Liverpool.
Sometimes you need a bit of fortunate scoring your way, and I can honestly say I've been on this side, on both sides of the fence. I've had
could
it
have had it
both
first
ways.
time against Arthur.
I'd have loved it. I'd have loved it. But you know what? I've been fortunate in my amateur career as well.
And Matthew Macklin could have had it in Germany against Felix Sturm. It didn't happen for him, but he came ever so close. He's been a wonderful warrior through the sport. Can he etch out here a win that keeps him in the mix? Rose, the eyes open again. Just hasn't really been able to get into a flow, into a rhythm, Brian Rose, as he has in previous fights, and that's good from Macklin's tactics.
It is. It's been a bit patchy from Rose. It's good in little bursts every now and then, but it's never more than 2 or 3 punch combinations. It's just single shots or doubles, and that's about it with Macklin. It's a lot of body shots, head shots, body shots, trying to mix it up. But then Rose will come back and land a good jab and a good right hand and negate a lot of Macklin's work. So it's a very tricky fight to score.
Good right hand from Rose. The odd clean shots have been useful, but the clusters, the combinations have come from Macklin in the main, but again missing wildly. And that's the problem that the judges have got. Clean scoring punches like that from Rose.
Rose trying to back Macklin up now for the first time.
Wildly missing here. Matthew Macklin with the uppercut, tries to work the body again. He hasn't lost the left hook. Leverage shots Ricky Hatton would have been impressed with that at ringside. As he comes forward fast there at the end of that one, Matthew Macklin. Carl Froch has joined us. It's a tough one, isn't it, Carl?
It is, yes. It's like watching 2 battle-worn old, I know they're not that old, but old warriors past the best. It's not nice to watch Macklin by the end of these shots. It looks like he's forcing his work. It looks like both of them, the timing's out. It's a great fight. It's a real industry fight. I've got Rose with his long reach, just because of that boxing ability at range. Just landed a few more jabs, but it's a tough fight.
Yeah, has he landed enough? Macklin's been more of an aggressor, but the clean shots, that's the key, isn't it?
It is, yeah, the eye-catching shots. Depends on where you're sitting and where you're watching it, where the judges are. I think this is even, or you've got Rose ahead by 1 round. It's really hard to pick. Macklin puts some nice body shots around, gets the hooks off nicely, but the clean, accurate shots, like you've said, are coming from Rose.
Get going with that jab, what you good at. All you good stuff. Come on.
Getting a bit angry there, Bobby Rimmer. Neville Hotz from South Africa. Marcus McDonnell, one of our finest judges, and Patrick Morley from Chicago are the 3 men that matter. I wonder how they're seeing it. Plenty of action left ahead and time for one of these to turn it on its head. Time out here.
Another telling off from Steve Gray.
A telling off to Macklin, just as Rose was just getting on top there. And I'm just flicking back to that night in Dublin when Matthew Macklin came apart against Jorge Sebastian Hyland in 10 rounds. And I wonder if Rose is thinking if he just chips away, if he can still be in the fight in a good position at this stage, whether Macklin will fade and tire and the wheels will come off.
It's a possibility, and Macklin will always work hard in fight. He will always try and grind you down and try and get inside and fight his fight. If you can tuck up and take that, it's a brave man to do so. Like Jamie Moore did, you have to really go through the mill to drag Macklin late in a fight.
That was clever from Jamie Moore that night, wasn't it? It was the extra defence, the southpaw cuteness he had. You know, it was a terrific, thrilling fight. He came out of the block so fast, Macklin. He never, ever gave an inch. But it was just that quality from Jamie, wasn't it?
It was. It's very difficult to take what Macklin's given for 10 rounds, and you can ask Jamie, I'm sure he'll vouch for that himself. Rose has to stay smart and sensible if he wants to try and do that.
Jamie Moore close to both these guys, as so many people are in the trade. Huge respect for Brian Rose and Matthew Macklin.
2 of boxing's nice guys.
Yep, they were even sharing a joke this morning at the re-weigh-in. There's an IBF for Intercontinental title on the line, which only Brian Rose can win, because Matthew Macklin was over the 10 pounds. rounds stipulated this morning from the weigh-in, and Brian said, you know what, I'm not even making a fuss about it. I respect Matthew, we get on, let's just fight.
Let's just fight.
Good to see and good to hear. Just swinging in a right hand there, Macklin, and tries the body shots again. Finston starts from Macklin, and occasionally the extra quality from Rose, but that was good from Matthew Macklin.
Rose seems to be having a success early on in the rounds, the last couple especially, and then Macklin coming on a bit stronger late. Last 2 or 3 rounds have been that way. Don't know whether it's a plan by Macklin and his camp or whether it's just the way the fight's panning out.
Stumbles back there, Matthew Macklin. Rose just maybe buoyed by that, and he's just biting down on the gum shield here, Macklin. Is that just a little sign? Just touching his nose there, remember, talking about retiring if he doesn't win this. Rose wasn't, he knows how important it is, but it's only 31. And it's probably more important this for Macklin.
It is, very much so.
Don't be having a breather here. Fuck off for a walk if you're having a breather. No? Do not have your breather here. Go for a walk, put your hands down in a different look. Yeah?
Apologies for the language in the corner. Heated exchanges and emotions running high.
Yeah, Seamus just telling them, if you're having a breather, don't have a breather inside, you'll go for a walk. Not in them exact words, but he's right what he's saying, you know, there's the gum shield that came out. It came out, Macklin was just pushing it back in, but a decent right hand that landed to put it there. A lot of little shove off it, you know, nothing to worry about from Macklin, but a lot of messy, scrappiness inside, not really clean action inside.
Seconds out, round 9.
Here's the 9th round. It's the 228th of Matthew Macklin's career, and it's the 230th of Brian Rose. There's not much between them. There wasn't much between them in the odds at the beginning. Brian Rose a slight favourite, if you remember, just odds on. How do you think they'd have it now? How have you got it?
I've got Rose ahead now. I think he's just landed the better shots in the last couple of rounds, and starting to get a bit more busy now, and he's getting into the fight a lot more. You see he's taking the centre of the ring. Macklin is now starting to move around the ring rather than keeping the centre as he has been in all fight.
Real divided opinion around ringside as to who has the advantage in this. This could be Brian Rose's territory. Just a spring in the step in the legs. Macklin trying to get behind the jab for the first real time. Is he going to grit it out, Macklin, down these championship rounds? Down the crucial stretch. What crucial minutes for their careers. It's not been a humdinger, has it, that we thought it would be, but it has been intriguing to watch.
It's been intriguing. It hasn't been the fight that we expected. Hasn't quite caught light. A bit of a clash of styles. They haven't quite gelled. You know, it's the old excuse what we use in boxing a lot of the time. Two fighters getting together will never always make a great fight. The styles just haven't gelled quite.
And as I sort of mentioned earlier, is it possibly because they're a bit old in the tooth, or a little bit long
It could be
in their
it could
careers?
be.
It is towards the sort of, you know, the last part.
Very much so. It could be. You know, they're no spring chickens, and they both tell you that themselves. But it's also Brian Rose is judging the distance nice here. He's every time Macklin tries to set himself, he's just taking a little step back like he did then. Just waiting. When Macklin comes in, he's taking a step back. Good footwork, and he's judging it well, and it's making Macklin fall short.
A better defence now from Rose, who is moving effectively. Just had a problem or two in the early rounds with the Macklin aggression, but as the storm subsided somewhat, Rose can box at his pace. Stay with it, says Bobby Rimmer in the corner. Is there a plan B from Macklin?
I think after the last couple of rounds, if there is one, he should try it now and should get going and trying to do a bit more on his corner stuff. He's trying to load up a bit too much the previous rounds, and he just hasn't been quite the work rate that he's had in the previous round, in the earlier rounds, and Rose is just slowly just stepping away.
He said to me he felt there was a real spring back to his boxing, Matthew Macklin, in the week, but it's getting tougher. And brother Seamus giving him a real talking to, you'd imagine now. Meanwhile, so much still ahead, and there is the IBF featherweight champion of the world, Lee Selby, in a really interesting defense against the American Eric Hunter, who fancies himself the slickster from Philadelphia. Lee Selby, who's been totally relaxed and at ease all week. He's gone to the cinema the last 3 nights. He's absolutely ready and ripped, and says he's going to make a big statement.
He's on the right stage to do so, isn't he, tonight? It's the biggest stage possible this year. And he's a great champion himself. He's a quality fighter, someone I admire a lot.
Second out, round 10.
9 minutes to go, Carl. Let's get your view about these, well, really important few minutes for both fighters in their careers.
I've known Macklin for quite a few years, and I think a lot of him has been around for a long time, as we know. He's been involved in some really hard fights, and to me it looks like he's tired now, and the sting's gone out of his punches. Threw a wild left hook there and sort of nearly followed off balance. He's looking tired, the sting's gone out of his punches, and I think it's going to be difficult for him to make any sort of impact on the judges down the stretch. We've seen him pull it out of the bag though, so don't write it off. But for me, Rose could just keep it long behind that crisp jab right hand, keep him really out of the way, out of range, and just take away this fight right at the end.
Most of it knockout wins. Matthew Macklin have come early. He's tended to just tire down the stretch against Sergio Martinez, who did him in 11, and of course Highland, who stopped him in 10. And certainly if it was level or level-ish around halfway, Brian Rose has really moved ahead.
He has. He's just
Oh, that was low from Macklin. I think he might get a point taken off here because he's been warned already.
Macklin doesn't need this. Rose hasn't made a meal of it, to be fair.
Let's see what Steve Gray's going to do.
No warning, last chance, no point.
I'm surprised. I thought he might lose a point there.
I think most of the early warnings were for the head, but he did have a couple for the low blows, so it's surprising, and it's very lenient from Steve Gray there.
Well, he's got to really go for it now, Macklin, because the rounds are falling away. And Brian Rose has a confident look, despite the eye damage and the fact that both are busted up. It is Rose who appears to have the more authoritative control of this fight, which certainly hasn't been the classic we expected, but it has been fought at a good pace between two clever operators seeking the win. It's a bit messy and slappy and cuffing at times for two guys who fought for world titles.
It is, and we've said a few times now, it's just that they're just not gelling. To good right hand, they're just not gelling and not quite coming together as explosive and as good as we wanted and we wished.
But you know what? They're both going for it every time. There's no lull in the action. It just hasn't quite worked.
Both got good defences. Both are throwing shots, but they're not all landing, obviously. And that's been the thing and the key to the fight. Rose has thrown less and landed probably more. And Macklin's thrown a hell of a lot of shots, as he always does. He's got a good volume of shots. A lot of landed have been blocked.
Closer round. But it is a couple of big ones, Macklin, you'd have thought here.
He has to take the last few. He's fell behind in the last few rounds, but it's been a lot better round from him, work rate and success-wise in this round. I don't know if Rose has just took his foot off the gas a little bit this round.
It doesn't look tired, Brian Rose.
Shot.
That was better. He was complaining about that.
That was low from here.
And he has a point taken off.
I'd have to see it from the other angle, from where we're sitting, waiting for him behind it. And it looked like a decent body shot, but it probably was low.
We'll have a look back at that, but a point has gone. Matthew Macklin did not need that to happen to him. It is getting pretty critical in there for Matthew Macklin. That's the first one that Steve Gray gave him the warning for, and that was low. It really was, and Rose felt it, but as you said, didn't make a meal of it. And let's have a look at the other one, Paul.
There's the second one.
Not as bad.
No, it's not as bad, and it's on the waistband, and Rose is crouched over as well. I thought it was a little bit unfair.
Carl shaking his head alongside you.
Yeah, I thought it was harsh on Macklin there. It was totally accidental. It wasn't really hard, anything on it. Rose didn't really make a deal of it, but the referee, it was on his radar, and he said, look, one more low blow, I'm going to do a point, and he stuck to his guns and deducted the point. But Macklin did not need that at this stage of the fight. That could cost him.
Could well cost him. 6 minutes left. Is he going to go for broke here? Matthew Macklin in those emerald green trunks, and he's talking to Brian Rose in there. His very career, his very future, maybe depending on the next couple of sessions. Paul's got him 3 down. Of course, the 3 judges at ringside might have it differently, but there's a sense of urgency now for Matthew Macklin.
Yeah, I thought Macklin was just edging back into the fight there, but the deduction obviously has to give the round the 9-9 round, because I thought he won it, and he certainly definitely needs to win these rounds now, Matthew Macklin, but Rose will know that, and Rose will try and turn it on as well and try and up the pace himself to stay in this fight.
He stuck to his boxing, Brian Rose, at times, like he did against Carson Jones, like he has through his career, because of that lack of punch power. Just a bit more organised, although now they dance around, and they must be feeling the pace too, these 30-something warriors. Almost turned southpaw there, Macklin. We haven't seen that from him before, but you might have done in the gym.
Rose holding a little bit too much as well. You see Macklin getting frustrated with Rose's holding, and he's making no secret of it to the referee. He's just having a word with them.
Yeah, a bit of spoiling tactics, but then some sharp work as well from Brian Rose. A mixed bag from both men here. And I think you've got to question whether they can go on and, you know, even appear back at the sort of world level, Paul, after this.
Yeah, this is the type of fight Macklin will want. He'll want to have it head-to-head, banging away, and have Rose in close. He won't want Rose on the back foot. But not if Rose is going to try and hold and spoil and frustrate. Now he's got a lead.
The middleweight division, you know, is absolutely buzzing out there, and Gennady Golovkin obviously sort of leaps and shoulders above the rest. But can you see either of these guys fighting for a world title now?
It's going to be tough for them. They have to have a good performance. They have to have a good run of performances and the right opportunity. There's opportunities ever. If someone phones you up and obviously the title fight, you're going to take it.
Training leather here. This is better. Macklin with those body shots. Last minute of the 11th. As the action cranks up here, heats up here on this big night for British boxing. The body shot again with a left hook from Macklin, who senses he needs something.
It's a good little onslaught from Macklin.
Certainly is, and despite the point off, if he's won a couple of these sessions, and you don't know how the first 6 the judges are going to have it, it could be closer. But on some cards, most at ringside have Brian Rose ahead, 2, 3, that sort of thing. But again, wild, the pair of them. He almost twisted his ankle there, Rose. You're going to be out of here if you don't keep them up. It's almost tough words, isn't it, at the end of a tough career for Matthew Macklin. He's seen it all.
He has, and it's a lot of frustration from the way Rose has been fighting for Matthew Macklin. And to be fair to Rose, he hasn't really done much wrong. He's not going to let Macklin bang away inside. He's going to try and spoil him. He's going to try and throw his own shots. And he's taken a well-deserved break here, because this has been a bigger round for Matthew Macklin than the previous 5.
Blood running from the nose of Brian Rose, but still the heart of the lion, as he calls himself. Show me his sandals this morning. The on one, lion on the other. And Bobby Rimmer said he's got the Lions trainer. Their characters, all of them.
Here's the shot again. Again, another waistband. You see Rose's leg coming up. you know, the referee will have pointed out the boundaries before the fight to both Macklin and Rose. You see it a lot, you know, he is good, he is low, and I don't think they're intentional from Macklin. I don't think he's meant to hit them low. He just throws a lot of steep uppercuts inside to the pit of the stomach, as he's been taught over the years. But
You've got 2 rounds to go.
unfortunately for Macklin, the referee doesn't see it that way, and Brian Rose is obviously feeling them shots.
Keep still when I tell
He
you.
deserves the rest that he got.
You've got to keep your hands tight, and you've got to because he's going to come now, yeah?
Don't move. Don't
Stay
move.
there, don't worry.
Do not move. Do not move.
Second out, 12th and final round.
Final session of this middleweight match. Matthew Macklin is going to go for it here. He's straight out of the blocks. He's banging his chest, his heart, a little bit like he did way back when he fought Jamie Moore. Straight out, centre of the ring, and he's going for it. He obviously believes he needs the knockout here.
He wants it, doesn't he? He's coming out, and I think both corners tonight have been very urgent. I know Bobby Limmer listening into the corner. He's been urgent with Brian all night, and I wouldn't say panic, and it's not panic. You really need to work, Brian. That's interesting. That is.
1 point for holding now from Brian Rose. So Steve Gray deducting points to add to what could be a very interesting read on the judges' scorecards as Macklin comes on strong. Some of these rounds difficult to split them. The general feeling as the gun shield goes out is that Rose might have done more. As he comes back in now, that turns the heat on Macklin. And they're giving the boos around here because Macklin's been given a bit of time, I think, and Rose is on top of him there. It's been a really strange one. It's been enthralling to watch, but as we said, it's been no means a great fight, far from it. But it's not lacked action and things to talk about.
It has, and they're both having a good go at it now. I think both of them are desperate to win the fight. Both of them know it's a close fight, and both of them have now been deducted points.
Inside the last 2 minutes. We thought it would go long. We felt it might be grueling, and it might come down to just who had that extra bit of class, that extra bit of desire at this stage of their long careers. Is there an answer? Is it Brian Rose?
This round, a lot of good body shots from Matthew Macklin. The momentum's in his favour. He's coming forward. He's wanting to win. Brian Rose is trying his best to dig in and really go for him. Good inside work from Macklin there. Good uppercuts.
Carl, could it be down to this last minute, or have you got Rose in the lead with the point off as well?
Well, that point's been balanced off with Rose holding, and that was sort of fair from the referee because he balanced it off. Macklin's won the last 3 rounds, and he's winning this one from my score. He's finishing strong, and this might just nick it back for him. Very interesting turn of events in the last round, and Macklin, you can see, he's really wanting this and landed more work.
Could be very close. Could we have another draw? We had 2 last week. Could we have a rematch on the cards between the pair of them?
Good counters from Macklin in this round as well. Rose still game, still coming forward.
They've both shown they've got something still to offer. Maybe not at the elite level, but they've been entertaining.
Very entertaining. It's been a scrappy fight at times, but it's very exciting to watch if you're fans of both. Which, listen, everyone in boxing is, you know, they're both very likeable lads.
Come on, head on the block. Who's going to get it?
With that point deduction, if Matthew Macklin wins this round, which I think he has, I've got it a draw because of the point deduction. I have Brian Rose winning the fight.
You've got it a draw, Carl.
You know what, I agree with Paul. It's really difficult to split them.
They're both trading leather at the end, and you bet there will be a massive hug of respect between the pair as they embrace. Great to see. That is what boxing is all about. Maybe it wasn't the classic we hoped for, but they fall into each other's arms, and they both gave everything tonight, as we knew they would. Matthew Macklin believes he's got it, maybe from that good finish down the stretch. Brian Rose raises his arms aloft. Well, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the judges have it level on Paul Smith's card. The points deducted from the pair of them, the judges from South Africa, from Britain, and from America. Is a return on the cards. Mr. Smith.
Imagine. I don't think either will want to do that again, but I think if it is a draw, then they will want to settle the record. But listen, we're not judges. We sit here and we watch, and we watch it from one side of the ring. The judges are spread around the ring, and from one side there could be one fight, and the other side you could see different things. So I'm interested to see these scorecards now.
Yeah, trade paper Boxing News has Rose by a couple, but it is it's going to be fascinating to see. The draw beforehand was 25 to 1. Remember, Rose a slight favourite before the fight. Has he done slightly more from his quality, or is it Macklin's aggression and volume? A tough one.
It is a tough one. I'm just scrolling through and having a look at the trade papers and what they've got it, and a lot of them have got Rose by 1, Macklin by 1, a draw, and everyone around us are saying the same thing. Is the respect at the end. It was always going to be there between these fighters, the gentlemen, the pair of them.
A kiss from Brian Rose as we wait for the cards. Matthew Macklin says he will retire if he loses. I wonder if he doesn't get the decision here, because however you look at it, from whatever side of the ring, it was closely fought at all times, and there wasn't much really in any of the rounds to split them decisively, because they're two good fighters and two good mates now, which is great to see. Do you think they believe they both won, or do you think they'd settle for a draw? What do you reckon?
No, I'm going by both corners. If I was going back to the corner and listen to what them both corners were saying, then at the time I'd be worried that it might be close as well, because neither corner sat down and said, listen, you're ahead, you're this, you're that. Neither corner said, you're down, you need to go for this, when Macklin probably knew in his heart of hearts he had to go for that fight because Rose took over from the middle rounds.
Kerry Kayes with Matthew Macklin, the old pals. And Bobby Rimmer in there. It's just fantastic to see. Friendship put aside, you'd never have thought it, the stories as they chat away to each other. And they've knocked lumps out of each other for 12 rounds. What is it about you guys?
That's the beauty of boxing. And you see a lot of people, you know, when something goes wrong in boxing, there's an unfortunate accident like Nick Blackwell and everyone else, and it's banned boxing, banned boxing. Boxing's one of the most gratifying sports out there for sportsmanship.
And great to hear Nick Blackwell making a very good recovery in this middleweight division. Who has got it? I think they finally tallied up the cards.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Judge Holt scores the contest 113-113. Judge Morley scores the contest 115-111. Judge McDonald scores the contest 115-111. By majority decision, your winner of this 12-round bout, from Birmingham, Matthew Macklin.
Matthew Macklin celebrates, and Brian Rose puts his head in his hands. It was level on one card and by 4 on 2. So we knew it would be one sort of an interpretation. Nobody gave Brian Rose the victory.